It sounds wild, maybe even vulgar to some. But there's a hidden truth buried deep inside this statement that few men ever understand. It's not about the act. It's about what it represents: emotional surrender, masculine confidence, and fearless devotion. Because here's the truth: no one is telling you a woman doesn't just crave pleasure, she craves presence. She craves a man who isn't afraid of her body or her emotions, a man who doesn't just touch her, he honors her, he listens, he learns. He feels her energy and responds not with ego, but with intention. That's why men who aren't afraid to pleasure a woman with full presence, mentally, emotionally, and physically, are respected at a level most men never reach. Not because of what they do, because of who they are when they do it. These are not boys, they are men. Men who know their worth, men who don't seek approval, men who understand that when you show up for her in these intimate, vulnerable ways, without shame or hesitation, you're not submitting, you're leading. And in that moment, she feels safe, seen, and surrendered. That's when she respects you. That's when she remembers you. That's when she chooses you again and again. So if you're ready to become the kind of man women respect, not just for how you move in the bedroom, but how you move in life, this video is for you. Let's begin. There's something unforgettable about a man who doesn't just look at a woman, he sees her. And not just with his eyes, he sees her body, but he also sees her soul. He touches her skin, but he also touches her mind. He whispers in her ear, but his presence echoes in her heart. That's emotional presence. And in today's world, where most men rush, take, perform, or pretend, emotional presence is rare. It's intimate, it's sexy. It's the one thing that separates the man she remembers from the boy she forgets. Because here's the secret: most women don't crave loud dominance, they crave silent depth. They crave a man who stays in the moment. A man who feels the tension in her breath, the hesitations in her voice, the signals in her eyes, and instead of reacting with confusion or control, he responds with calm power. Emotional presence is not about perfection, it's about stillness. Let me show you what this looks like, because it's not complicated, but it is rare. It's in the way you listen to her without interrupting, in how you run your hand along her lower back, not with urgency, but intention, in how your breathing syncs with hers when her body tightens with uncertainty and your calm brings her back to herself. She feels that deeply. Because most men aren't present when they touch a woman. They're thinking about performance. They're thinking about approval. They're thinking about themselves. But when you strip all that away and you show up fully present, she feels safe. Not just safe to open her legs, but safe to open her emotions, safe to open her walls, safe to open her truth. And that is the kind of safety that makes her wet. Not just physically, but emotionally. Because there is nothing more seductive than a man who doesn't need to prove himself. A man who isn't afraid to slow down. A man who holds eye contact not to intimidate, but to connect. A man who takes his time because he values what's in front of him. Emotional presence turns foreplay into memory. It turns silence into trust. It turns every single touch into an invitation. Because here's what most men miss: pleasure doesn't start between her legs. It starts in her nervous system. And if your energy is chaotic, anxious, or overly focused on outcome, she feels that in her body. Her mind might say yes, but her body will say no. And she'll leave that night feeling unsatisfied, even if everything technically worked. But when you're emotionally present, you offer something most men can't. You offer stability. You offer leadership. You offer her the freedom to surrender, not just sexually, but spiritually. She can breathe around you. She can relax into her femininity. She can soften. That softness is not weakness, it's her truth. And when a woman feels safe enough to melt, she starts to crave you. That's why presence is the most underrated sexual skill in the world. It's not about being the best in bed. It's about being the safest, strongest, most centered man she's ever felt on top of her, beneath her, or holding her beside him. So stop chasing techniques. Start cultivating presence. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, slow your movements, watch her, learn her, feel her. And when you do, you'll find that you don't need to do much. Because when a man is truly present with a woman, she will come alive for him in ways she's never known. She will crave him, respect him, trust him. And in a world full of noise, your presence will become the silence she never knew she needed. It's not just how you touch her, it's what your touch says about who you are. Because for a woman, respect doesn't begin in public. It begins when the door closes, when the clothes come off, and when your true self steps forward. This is where the performance ends and your power begins. A lot of men think respect means holding the door or paying for dinner. And while those gestures are appreciated, they are surface level, temporary. Real respect shows up when you're most vulnerable, when she's exposed in front of you, body bare, heart uncertain, and you still treat her like a queen. And I don't mean fake worship, I mean real reverence. The kind where you don't rush, the kind where you ask without saying a word, the kind where your hands read her body like a sacred book, not a puzzle to solve, not a game to beat, but a world to explore gently, deeply, fully. Respect in the bedroom is what separates the boys who seek pleasure from the men who create it. Here's what most men never understand: a woman's body remembers. It remembers the first time you grabbed her with care, or the first time you grabbed her like she was a thing. It remembers the man who slowed down to ask, "Does this feel good?" with nothing but his eyes, and the one who rushed through her as if she were just a checkpoint on the way to his climax. And over time, those memories decide what kind of man you are to her, whether she opens up more or starts to shut down. So let me say this clearly. Respect turns her on more than any dirty word ever will, not because she's fragile, not because she needs protection, but because she needs to feel seen, not used, taken, not reduced. And here's the twist: respect is sexy. It's sexy when you pause and ask, "Do you like this?" It's sexy when you move your lips an inch from her skin and just wait. It's sexy when your dominance is built on deep awareness, not control. When you know exactly how far to go because you're paying attention, not to porn, not to perform, to her. That moment when she arches her back, when her breath catches in her throat, when her thighs start to tremble ever so slightly, you're there, present, alive. And the more she sees that you're tuned into her experience, not your ego, the more she respects you as a lover and as a man. Because now she knows you don't just take, you connect. You don't just finish, you honor. And when a woman feels respected in the bedroom, she becomes something magical. She gives more. She trusts more. She opens more. Because the bedroom becomes her safe place, not just her sexy place. And that's what makes her crave you again and again and again, not because you were the best, but because you were the most real. So the next time you're with her, slow down. Let her see your eyes soften when you undress her. Let her hear your voice drop into stillness, not performance. Let her feel that you're not here to take from her. You're here to meet her. Respect isn't just an attitude, it's a language. And when you speak it fluently, with your eyes, your breath, your body, she'll answer in ways that will change your life. Because every time you show her you respect her softness, she'll fall deeper into your strength. When she moans, it's not just pleasure, it's trust echoing through her throat. It's surrender disguised as sound. And the man who learns to listen to those moments, not just hear them, holds the most powerful position in her life. The man who understands that her pleasure is not a side effect, it's the main event. See, too many men chase dominance. They want to be in control. They want to lead the bedroom like a battlefield. They want her legs open, her breath shallow, and her body conquered. But here's the truth that separates the boys from the unforgettable. If you want her soul, you don't conquer it. You invite it. Because true power isn't in how hard you take her. It's in how deeply you reach her. And that doesn't start in your hands or between your legs. It starts in your mindset. Pleasure isn't just a goal. It's a gift. And when you make her pleasure the priority, not in a performative, look how good I am way, but from a place of deep masculine presence, she transforms in front of you. She becomes electric, alive, feral, feminine in the most primal, sacred way. Because a woman who feels safe enough to feel everything is unstoppable in bed and unforgettable in your heart. So here's what you need to understand: her pleasure is not a reaction to your ego. It's a reflection of your depth. It's how gently you trace her skin with your fingertips, like you're memorizing a scripture. It's how you sense, not ask. When she needs softness and when she needs strength. It's how you pause mid-movement just to whisper, more or less. And it's how you adapt, not because you're sure, but because you care. And that's what gets her wet before your hand even touches her. Not the words, not the pressure, not the performance, but the presence. There's a quiet kind of power in a man who studies her rhythm like a musician tuning in to his most delicate instrument. A man who doesn't need pornographic choreography to feel masculine. A man who recognizes that her climax is a spiritual offering and he is both the witness and the guide. And guess what? When she starts to trust that you care about her pleasure, she'll start giving you everything. The sounds she only makes in the dark, the craving she only shares when she's safe, the version of herself that's wild, raw, and unfiltered, the one most men never get to see, but only if you earn it. And that earning starts with your intention. Do you touch her to awaken her or to validate yourself? Do you taste her slowly because you want her to feel like the most devoured dessert on earth, or because you're trying to perform like some fantasy you saw online? She can feel the difference. And when she feels your presence, not your performance, she'll melt in ways that break her open. And when that happens, when her legs tremble, and her voice goes quiet and she collapses into you like you're the safest place in the world, that's when you'll understand her pleasure is your power. Because when she surrenders, not because she has to, but because she wants to, you become the man she will never forget. So don't just take pride in how many women you've had. Take pride in how many women you've honored, because that's the mark of a true man, not how hard you can go, but how deeply you can connect. And once you understand this, she won't just crave your touch, she'll crave your presence. She'll crave your understanding. She'll crave you. Again, again, again. Every woman remembers the way a man touched her, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically. Because touch is never just touch, it's a message, a mirror, a memory she will carry in the curve of her body long after you're gone. Let me say something most men never hear. The way you touch her will shape the way she sees herself. If you rush it, she'll feel like she's not worth lingering for. If you grab without attunement, she'll shrink, even if she moans. If your hands are only led by your desire, he'll feel like she's being used, not cherished. And if you think she doesn't notice, you're wrong. Women feel everything. Everything. She notices when your hand lands like a weight versus when it lands like a whisper. She knows when you're holding her like treasure or like territory. And that's why this chapter matters. Because what if I told you this your touch has the power to heal her past, to rewrite every moment she was made to feel small, unworthy, or broken? Yes, that's how powerful you are. Not just as a man, but as a presence. Your hands aren't just instruments of pleasure, they're anchors of safety, brushstrokes of affirmation, silent sentences that say, "You are safe here. You are beautiful here. Bah, you are enough." Now imagine what happens when you begin touching her, not just with your body, but with your intention, with reverence. With the energy of "you are sacred and I'm honored to be here." You don't have to say it, she'll feel it. And in that moment, in those subtle, quiet exchanges, something sacred happens. Her body starts to trust you, not just open to you, but soften for you, not just react to you, but crave you because she feels seen, valued, safe. It's not about having the right moves. It's about having the right presence. The man who traces the small of her back while she cooks, who kisses her neck not just in passion, but in peace, who holds her hand like it's the only map he needs, that man becomes unforgettable. Not because he knew what to do, but because he made her feel like she mattered. And here's the secret most men overlook: when a woman feels emotionally safe, her sensuality blooms. She becomes uninhibited, louder, wilder, more alive, not because you made her feel sexy, but because you made her feel secure. That's the emotional foreplay most men skip. They want her body without understanding her soul. They want the moans, the arching, the climax. But they forget that the most erotic part of a woman is how she feels about herself in your presence. If she feels beautiful, she will radiate. If she feels adored, she will explode. If she feels safety, she will open in ways you've never seen. So ask yourself, does your touch awaken her body or soothe her heart? Does it tell her she's hot or tell her she's home? The truth is, her body will remember your hands, not because of what you did, but because of who you were while doing it. Were you present? Were you grounded? Were you honoring the divine in her? Or were you just chasing a release? Because a woman who feels like she's being touched with love, not just lust, becomes addicted to your energy, not your technique, not your performance. You. And when you become the man whose presence changes the way she sees herself, she won't just want your hands on her. She'll want your hands in her life. Your arms are around her future. Your soul is tied to her freedom. That's the real power, not in making her come, but in making her feel. And if you can master that, you won't just be a man she sleeps with. You'll be the man she blooms with. A woman cannot surrender where she does not feel safe. You might think she's holding back because she's shy, reserved, or complicated. But the truth is far simpler and much deeper. She is still scanning your energy for safety, not just physical safety, but emotional, psychological, and spiritual security. Because every part of her, her mind, her body, her soul, is asking one silent question: can I let go here or will I regret it? And that's what most men never understand. They think winning her body means they've won her heart. But real intimacy isn't about undressing her skin. It's about making her feel so held, so honored, so emotionally protected that she chooses to melt for you. That kind of surrender, it's not bought with gifts. It's not earned with fancy dates. It's not triggered by the smoothest pickup line. It comes from one sacred experience. She feels emotionally safe in your presence. And that safety doesn't come from being a nice guy. It comes from being a grounded, embodied man, one who doesn't flinch when she's emotional, one who doesn't get reactive when she's confused, one who can sit in the storm of her complexity and still radiate calm. Because here's what no one tells you: the feminine tests you not to punish you, but to protect herself. When she's pushing your buttons, when she's emotional for no reason, when she seems closed or distant, He's not trying to sabotage the connection. She's trying to feel safe enough to surrender to it. Your job is not to fix her, not to convince her, not to beg her. Your job is to become the space where her walls dissolve on their own. When you stay calm when she's upset, you're telling her, your emotions are safe with me. When you listen deeply instead of defending yourself, you're telling her your voice matters here. When you don't punish her for having layers, you're telling her you don't have to hide anymore. And when she starts to feel that, when she knows you're not going to abandon her, when she gets messy, judge her when she's raw, or use her vulnerability against her, that's when she begins to truly bloom. She'll become softer, more affectionate, more expressive, more of herself, because surrender isn't something a woman gives. It's something you unlock, and you do it through consistency, through your tone, through how you respond to her fears, not just her fantasies. A woman is not going to open her deepest self to a man who lacks discipline, self awareness, or presence. She is watching you. How do you handle pressure? How do you speak when you're angry? Do you show up the same way when she's radiant and when she's insecure? Because to her, safety isn't built into the bedroom. It's built into everyday moments. It's how you treat the waitress. It's how you speak about your ex. It's how you handle failure. It's how you speak to yourself when you're struggling. She watches these things because they show her your truth. And when that truth tells her, this man is grounded, this man is present, this man is safe, that's when her body relaxes. That's when her heart opens. That's when she gives you the parts of herself she doesn't show anyone else. Because when a woman surrenders, she's not just saying, I trust you. She's saying, I trust myself with you. Let that sink in. And that's the deepest honor a man can ever earn. So if you want her to surrender, don't chase her body. Don't try to impress her. Become the calm in her chaos. Become the clarity in her confusion. Become the strength that doesn't control her, but holds her. And when you do, she won't just lie with you. She'll rise with you. That's not seduction. That's devotion. That's not performance. That's presence. And that's the kind of man she'll never forget. You don't need to be louder. You don't need to be richer. You don't even need to be better looking. You just need to be still, still in the storm, still in her chaos, still in your skin. Because the man who can remain unshaken when everything is shaking, he is the one women crave without understanding why. This is the essence of stoic masculinity, not the cold, heartless image that modern culture sometimes mocks, but the quiet fire beneath the surface, the deep rooted oak tree that doesn't flinch when the wind howls. Let's be honest. Life will test you. Love will test you. She will test you. Not because she's toxic, not because she's playing games, but because the feminine needs to know the container holding her is unbreakable. And a stoic man, a truly grounded man, is not the one who reacts. He responds. He doesn't seek validation. He doesn't panic when things feel uncertain. He doesn't lose himself in pursuit of someone else because his center is intact. And that's what makes him magnetic. When you carry yourself with stoic strength, you walk into a room and the energy shifts, not because you're the loudest, but because you don't need to be. Your silence speaks volumes. Your eye contact disarms. Your body language is composed. And your energy whispers, I don't need to prove myself because I already know who I am. Women feel this. It doesn't hit them like a shout. It seeps in like a slow burn, and it melts the armor they've built up from boys who posture, beg, or collapse under pressure. Because when a woman feels your stillness, she can finally relax, not because you control her, but because you don't try to. That's the paradox of power. The most powerful men are the ones who don't need to show it. And stoic masculinity, it's not about being emotionless. It's about having emotional discipline. You feel deeply, but you don't get pulled under. You hear her pain, but you don't try to fix it out of fear. You see her triggers and instead of matching them, you hold your ground because your presence is more than enough. And here's the part no one teaches you. Women don't want a man who feels nothing. They want a man who feels everything, but isn't ruled by it. They want to know that when they fall apart, won't. That is when they get emotional, get present. That when the world is too much for why you for you become their anchor. Not through force, not through dominance, but through quiet leadership. This is the man who becomes unforgettable. The one she feels safest around without understanding why. The one who makes her feel seen without saying much. The one whose grounded masculinity creates a sanctuary where she can finally be soft again. You don't need to chase her. You don't need to win her over. You just need to become the man who makes her feel calm in a world that keeps making her anxious. That's what stoic men do. And in a time where most men are lost in distraction, validation, and comparison, the man who remains present, who breathes deeply, who knows his worth without having to explain it, he becomes the lighthouse, the center, the gravity, and she will orbit him. not because she has to, but because everything in her wants to. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. So if you're tired of being overlooked, misunderstood, or taken for granted, don't get louder. Get still. Don't become colder. Become deeper. Let your presence speak louder than your voice. Let your actions carry more weight than your promises. Let your stillness become the invitation for her softness. Because Stoic masculinity isn't about being hard, it's about being unshakable. And in a world full of noise, the man who knows how to be quiet becomes unforgettable. Late at night, when she lies alone in bed, when the room is quiet, and the only sound is the whisper of her thoughts, there's one image that keeps returning to her mind. It's not just a face, not just a body, not just someone who made her laugh or bought her dinner. It's a man she felt, a man who didn't just touch her skin, but touched something far deeper, her safety, her surrender, her deepest, wordless longing. You see, the man she fantasizes about when no one is watching, it isn't perfect. He's not some unattainable superhero. He's not always the richest or the best looking, but what is he is unforgettable. He's the man who looked into her eyes and didn't flinch, the one who listened without needing to fix her, the one who touched her like she was fragile and powerful at the same time. This man understood one thing that 99% of men missed: feminine desire begins with emotional safety. Because before she opens her body, she wants to feel like she can open her heart. And before she gives you her soul, she needs to know you can hold space for her shadows. So, how do you become the man she dreams about? It's not by learning tricks. It's by becoming the kind of man who can contain her deepest truth and still love her more for it. Start with your presence. When you're with her, be with her, not distracted, not performing, not calculating your next move, just there, fully and completely. Your phone is off. Your eyes are locked. Your energy says, right now, you are the only thing that matters. That alone. It will separate you from every man she's ever met. Then there's your touch, not rushed, not greedy, not demanding, but slow, intentional, like you're reading her body, not just using it. Because the man who makes her crave him is the one who treats her not like a conquest, but like a canvas he's learning stroke by stroke. And then there's your voice, low, calm, not to impress, but to anchor. Speak to her with depth, not volume. Let silence linger. Make her feel your words in her chest, not just in her ears. This is what women fantasize about, not the loudest man, not the one with the flashiest car or the most impressive Instagram, but the one who made her feel so seen, so safe, so awakened, that she never forgot him. Here's the truth: no one tells you women remember how you made them feel. Not what you said, not what you bought them, but how their nervous system settled when you were near, how their guard dropped without them realizing it. They felt sexy without even trying. That's fantasy. That's craving. That's what echoes in her when she's alone, touching her pillow, imagining your fingertips instead. So don't focus on impressing her. Focus on disarming her. Show up with integrity. Be honest about your desires, but never entitled. Speak with truth, not manipulation. Move with confidence, not ego. Because when you do this, you stop being just another guy. You become the man she compares every future man to, the standard, the memory, the dream. She'll wonder why you linger in her mind. Why does a song remind her of your voice? Why a stranger's cologne pulls her back to you? It's because you became a safe place and a source of fire. You made her body feel wanted. And here she feels held. That my brother is the man she fantasizes about when she's alone, not the one who took her clothes off, but the one who undressed her soul first. So if you want to be that man, don't memorize pickup lines, master your presence. Don't chase validation, chase depth. And don't just desire her, make her feel desired. Not just in the bedroom, but in every moment you're near. That's not a fantasy, that's reality. That's your power. Now step into it. You've just uncovered a truth that most men will never dare to explore. Because this journey isn't about tactics. It's not about the game. It's about transformation. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't just make a woman smile, but makes her breathe deeper when he walks into the room. The kind of man whose touch doesn't just arouse her, but makes her feel held, seen, and understood. Remember, the world doesn't need more men trying to impress women. It needs more men who are grounded in truth, more men who can create safety without control, more men who know how to spark desire without ever raising their voice. So now the question is, will you apply this? Will you step into the 1%? Or will you let this just be another video you watched and forgot? The choice is yours. But know this: the moment you start showing up differently, the world and she will respond differently. If you felt something shift in you, let me know in the comments below. Which moment hit you the hardest? Which secret will you apply first? Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're ready to start leading with presence, not pressure. And stay tuned, because this journey of masculine mastery is just beginning. Stay grounded, stay rare, and stay unforgettable. This is your time.